You are listening to the Winner's Ways podcast with Bola Alabi, episode number 60.
Would you like to win and achieve success at what you do? Welcome to the Winner's Ways podcast, where we create winners every day. And now, your host, the author of Winner's Ways book and life coach, Bola Alabi.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Today is the Christmas day, and I am super excited to be coming to you on this beautiful Christmas day. Before I go on today's show, I want to remind you that Jesus is the reason for the season. So in the spirit of Christmas, I want to encourage you to reach out and do something nice to someone out there. It does not have to necessarily be someone that you know. I am advocating for an act of kindness for a total stranger. I'm going to be doing the same thing, by the way. I am prompted to do this as a result of a story that I heard earlier on today. There was this lady, her name is Jenny. Jenny had gone to the bank to deposit about $100 in her account. On getting to the bank, the teller told her that her account has been overdrawn. She has negative $35 in her account. If she deposited her $100, it will take her down further. She will not be able to pay her utility bills. She will not be able to buy her groceries. So she couldn't make her deposit. She went back to her car and she started crying. But a total stranger behind her in the bank overheard her conversation with the teller. So this stranger deposited some money to cover the overdraft, and he left some amount for Jenny. So the teller quickly came out. She found Jenny and told Jenny about what this stranger had done. Jenny was so happy. She deposited her $100, and because of the act of kindness from this stranger, Jenny was able to pay for her gas. She was able to pay her electricity bill, and she was able to buy her groceries. This act of kindness, today, Jenny is paying it forward because she started a non-profit organization that now help the less privileged in the society, especially around Christmas. Now you can see how a single act of kindness can go a long way. And that's what I want all of us to do. Let's reach out to someone, not necessarily people that we know, and let's do something nice for them. That's my clarion call for today. Now let's go to today's show. This is the episode 60 of the Winner's Ways podcast. And by the way, this is the last episode for the year 2019. Can you imagine? We've had 60 different episodes since we started this podcast. We've had thousands of downloads in over 20 countries from around the world. I am so grateful for having you as a super fan, for having you as a committed listener to this podcast. Thank you for staying with me all through the year 2019. The year 2020 is around the corner. I plan to continue to bring useful information that will help you in your career, in your personal finance, and motivational messages that will help your life generally. I am also planning to start creating some digital content in terms of training courses and ebooks starting from next year. Because of this, I'm going to reduce the frequency of my podcast episode. So instead of making it a weekly episode, I'm going to be coming to you every 2 weeks. So starting January 2020, we are going to be creating 2 podcast episodes each month. But don't worry, you'll still be able to read my posts by going on www.winnersways.com to read what I have to write. For today, I want to talk about cash flow. When I say cash flow, what comes to your mind? I'm sure you already know that this is about money. So when we talk about cash flow, generally, you can either have positive cash flow or negative cash flow. When you have a positive cash flow, that means you have more money coming into your account than what is going out. And the reverse is the case when you have a negative cash flow. Let me give you an example. If you are a business owner or an employee, let's say you earn $5,000 per month. And after all your expenses, maybe you have $1,000 left. Hey, that means you have a positive cash flow of $1,000. People that often carry negative cash flow may not quickly realize the dangerous effect of this on their personal life because they can easily use their credit card to make up for the shortfall. I tell you, this is like kicking the can down the road. I want you to consistently and persistently maintain a positive cash flow in your account, because negative cash flow is detrimental to your personal financial life. So on today's episode, I'm going to define cash flow. I'll explain the advantages of having a positive cash flow, and I will guide you on how to maintain a regular positive cash flow from month to month. So the first one, what is cash flow? Cash flow is the net amount of cash that is being transferred into and out of a business. If a business has more money going into its accounts than what is coming out, then the business is said to have a positive cash flow. If on the other hand, the business is spending more than what it makes, then this business is said to have a negative cash flow. Businesses with negative cash flow will struggle to meet their financial obligations if this continues for too long. If you are going to invest your money, you have to read what is called a cash flow statement. The cash flow statement will tell you how the company is doing financially. And this is why in business they say cash is king. Businesses that generate free cash flow regularly are rewarded with stock price appreciation because these businesses are in a position to meet all their financial obligations. The cash flow statement measures how well a company manages its money, meaning how well the company generates cash to pay its debt obligation and fund its operating expenses. So how is this applicable to you as an individual? Like businesses, if you want to be stable financially, you must ensure that you are not spending more than what you make. And beyond that, you must also find a way of making your money work for you by creating your own investment portfolio. I've explained cash flow from business perspective. So for you as an individual, cash flow is equal to income minus expenses. If the result is positive, that means you have a positive cash flow. Your income is higher than your expenses. If the result is negative, that means you are having a negative cash flow. Your expenses are higher than your income. So that's the first step. You now understand the meaning of cash flow. The second one, why do you have to maintain a positive cash flow? Again, we'll take a look from business perspective. Then I'll talk about individual. Businesses with positive cash flow are in a position to meet their financial obligation. That means they can pay the staff salaries, they can pay for rent, they can pay their debt. They can also have more money to reinvest in the business, as well as return money to the shareholders. Companies like Microsoft and Apple, these two companies have a huge amount of free cash flow. And that's why they can invest more money to expand their business and also pay dividends. Dividends are generally very attractive to investors because through dividends, you as an investor, you'll be able to earn money and share in the profit of the company that you are invested in. For you as an individual, having a positive cash flow will ensure you have peace of mind because you will not have to worry about money problem. You will not have to worry about whether or not you'll be able to pay your bills. Example is the story of Jenny that I narrated at the beginning. She found herself in the red. That means her account was overdrawn. That means she's having a negative cash flow. Because of that, she could not pay for her groceries. She could not pay her utility bills. That cost her a lot of pain and agony. So if you want to enjoy your peace of mind, you got to make sure that you maintain a positive cash flow. If you have a positive cash flow, you'll also be able to invest your money and enjoy future opportunities. So those are the benefits of having a positive cash flow as an individual. So how do you create a positive cash flow? For companies, they must find a way of selling more of their products or get more people to use their services in order to generate more revenue. But cash flow is much more than revenue that the business generates. To create a positive cash flow, the business must be able to generate their revenue in the most cost-efficient manner. I'll give you an example. If Apple can manufacture a single iPhone at a cost of $200 and they can sell it for $500, you may want to assume that Apple makes $300 on each of its iPhone. But that will mean you are ignoring the production costs because, of course, there are costs associated with employees' salaries, marketing and advertisement, energy cost, rent, and paying for equipment. All these costs are under operating expenses. So if you add all the operating expenses to the material cost, you may end up discovering that it actually cost Apple about $400 to produce a single iPhone. Now, it's the responsibility of Apple as a company to find ways of reducing their production cost. And some of the ways may include automation. That means if they can find robots to assemble their products, instead of paying salaries, and they might resolve to using robots, and that will save them costs. They may decide to outsource or even send manufacturing jobs overseas. And that's why they manufacture most of their products in China. They will also find a way of reducing their taxes. And sometimes companies may decide to reduce overhead by laying off their staff. So they will do anything and everything possible to make sure that they reduce their operating expenses. So that's the way companies make money and generate free cash flow. Reduce the operating expenses so that their revenue or their profit can go higher. For you as an individual, you must also make sure that you keep your monthly expenses below your income from month to month. Money issue is one of the top reasons why people divorce in America today. Because lack of money limits your choices and it causes stress for most people. So to get to a position of financial peace, you must learn how to manage your money properly. And for you, I have 3 suggestions. The first one is make more money. There are 2 sides to the money equation, the income side and the expenses side. If you realize that your expenses are getting higher due to changes in your lifestyle, you have 2 choices. You can either reduce your expenses or make more money. The first thing that most people consider is to reduce their expenses. That's okay. But there are other choices. Because really, why must you deny yourself of the good things of life? You may desire to move to a certain neighborhood or buy a newer car or send your kids to the private school. Instead of saying no to yourself, I want you to find a way of making more money. And to make more money, you can either as an employee, maybe look for another employer, or maybe start a business, do some side hustle that will generate money for you. So that's number 1, make more money. So number 2, reduce your expenses. This is the second option that you can consider. You can control your expenses by not living beyond your income. Would you rather live in that 1-bedroom apartment and drive that 15-year-old Toyota Corolla and maintain a positive cash flow so that you can enjoy your peace of mind? Or would you upgrade to a new 5-bedroom house and drive the latest Audi Q8? You have to know that there are costs associated with all these changes in lifestyle. Can you bear the cost? Can you afford it? If you cannot afford it, then cut your cost of living so that your expenses will be lower than your income. And that way, you are going to enjoy your peace of mind. So the second option is to make sure that you reduce your expenses. And number 3, you got to practice contentment. At the end of the day, one way to ensure that you manage your money properly is to be contented with what you have. You should be grateful for your Toyota Corolla because it can take you from your home to your work every day. You should appreciate your 1-bedroom apartment because it provides shelter for you. You do not have to upgrade your iPhone every time that Apple rolls out a new phone. Contentment is about being appreciative and grateful for your position in life, while also being happy for your friend or next door neighbor that appears to be doing better than yourself. So practice contentment. Be grateful for those things that you have, and you will be able to enjoy your peace of mind. I have this money tip for you today. It is much less about how much you make, but much more about how much you keep and how hard your money works for you. And that's where I'm ending today's episode. Thank you once again for staying with me all through the year 2019. Thank you for downloading all the episodes. I hope you find today's episode beneficial. I want you to win and live free of financial stress. To do that, make sure you manage your money properly and be contented with what you have. If you know anyone that still struggles with their finances, please share this episode with them. You know my mission is to create more winners and help more people to thrive. I work with hardworking professionals to find suitable career, make more money, and thrive. Till next year again, this is Bola Halabi. Have a wonderful Christmas celebration. I wish you an amazing new year. I pray that 2020 will be your best year yet. Keep winning, my friends. Keep winning.
This episode of Winner's Ways podcast has come to a close. We hope you enjoy and learn something from today's show. We want you to win and excel in all areas of your life, and we regularly explore and share information with our listeners to empower them to win. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast for more tips and strategies to help you find the success that you've always dreamt of. And don't forget to rate and review so that we can continue to bring you more podcast episodes to empower you. We will love to have you again next week. Now, keep winning.